If Earth is really a globe with a radius of 3,959 miles, as we've been taught...
Uh-oh, it's Eric Dubay again, and he's talking about what we've been taught. And you know that just can't be true, because I has significant doubts as to Eric having been taught absolutely anything, let alone things that are, true. Because yes, the Earth is roughly 3,960 miles on its radius, but it's less about being taught and more about it actually being that because it's a goddamn fact. Facts, also known as flat Earth kryptonite. Presumably in this instance, Superman is some kind of idiot man-child with the enviable ability to fall down while he's trying to breathe and stand at the same time.
Then there must exist an easily calculable spherical curvature upon the surface.
Yes, there must, because there is. Well done, you managed to do an inference. It'll be the only one that makes any sense, I'm sure, but you did it. Well done. Have a cookie. No, not from that pile. Those are mine. You can have one of these delicious-looking ones.
When the math is completed, we see that there is an exponential, measurable, and what should certainly be observable amount of curvature present on a globe of given proportions.
It depends on the scale, yeah. Given enough distance and a high enough viewing position, you will, but anywhere near ground level, and it will be incredibly difficult to perceive any kind of curve, at least not without some kind of equipment or a frame of reference like a great big ship or a building or like a frickin' mountain. Anything human scale or less is going to be real hard to detect with your peepers.
After just 1 mile, there should already be 8 inches.
8 inches? There's a penis joke in there somewhere. Something about not expecting to see a little man playing a piano? No, wait, that's the genie one. Perhaps something about 8 inches reminds me of the average Eric Dubay fan. Because they're all dicks. Damn it, it's somewhere in there, like a penis.
After 2 miles, 32 inches. And after 3 miles, there should be 72 inches, or 6 entire feet of physical curvature between point A and point B.
Yeah, ground level, that is to say, if you were buried up to your nose, but even if that were the case, you still wouldn't be able to tell, not to mention things like atmospheric refraction and all that jazz, really screwing with your perception. This is why we use things like tools, and I don't mean Eric's fans, but equipment, to measure these things. You're sitting here making these calculations, allegedly, more likely stealing them from someone else, but they are all based on measurements, not me went outside and eyeballed the Earth, therefore glob.
Let's see if this supposed curvature is anywhere to be found.
Anywhere? I think you'll find that it is literally everywhere. That is the nature of living on a globe. You can't turn around for it to just be there, curving it up right in your face. The issue flat earthers have is how they look for it, mostly in that they fail to understand the size and scope of the damn thing, and rarely if ever account for important things that change exactly what we expect to see, while pretending that none of it is there.
Taking my trusty Nikon P900 ultra zoom camera.
Of course, the fabled P900, the camera designed specifically by flat earthers for flat earthers, using magical reality detecting technology and its powerful, never has visual artifacts abilities, and also a special chip that counteracts the physics of light somehow. Oh wait, it's literally none of those things, it's just a fucking camera, with an almost comically powerful zoom, considering its pretty low resolution at those distances, making it entirely unsuitable as a tool for anything other than freaking out your neighbours when they spot you sticking it through your curtains and the camera.
We traveled to Highland Lake to perform our own experiment.
Travel? Experiment? Perform? Those are all things I would never expect you to be able to do, especially that third one, according to all the ladies that I just made up. But okay, cool. Doing experiments is good. Let's just hope that the experiment is an actual experiment with measurements and bothering to check anything, and not you zooming in and out on distant objects before screaming, "Looks flat to me."
From one end of the lake to the branching midpoint is almost exactly 3 miles, giving a perfect camera position and target observation area.
Position. And okay, let's assume that's accurate. Okay, cool. But again, 3 miles, not actually that far in the grand scope of how fucking massive the Earth is. So your expectations of being able to see the curve is a little ill-founded. You could, however, measure it. Let's see if you actually even try that. Although for some reason I have my doubts, but only because they would definitely prove you wrong.
I also tried a couple other camera positions along the beach with 2 other target observation areas.
Oh, some brand new positions, eh? Kinky. I'm sure being bad at something from a brand new angle will totally provide way better results. This is true for both flat earthing and doing a sex.
In an attempt to see farther than 3 miles. Unfortunately, due to the angles of the lake and trees, 3 miles was the maximum I was able to see.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure 3 miles is the typical distance a person can see the horizon from. So I don't know what the fuck you were expecting. Of course, people can generally see things further out than that, with buildings and ground elevation getting in the way of actually seeing the horizon itself. But yeah, if that's a problem, there are other, larger, flatter areas you could have gone to. It's weird that you chose somewhere that didn't meet your lofty requirements.
But on larger lakes or plains, this experiment can be, and has been, repeated and verified by laser measurements and found to be perfectly level over many more miles.
Wow, you see, that highly accurate piece of equipment he's using proves without a shadow of a doubt houses are really, really wobbly, perhaps even made from some sort of jelly-like substance. Good job, Eric. And sure, I believe you. That's why you're not doing that now, because other people did it, I promise. I thought this was supposed to be an experiment that we could do. And you know lasers aren't magic either, right? The same atmospheric refraction applies to them too. But lucky you, there are better ways to measure these things using more accurate technologies that don't have those same flaws. I'm sure you'll be rushing out to get one just as soon as you can, right?
The natural physics of standing water, like that found in a lake, is to remain perfectly level across its entire expanse.
Natural physics, unlike those supernatural physics that flat earthers believe in, I suppose. And level, at least in this context, just doesn't mean what you think it means. Level is relative to the shape of the Earth. The water's surface runs more or less parallel to the Earth's shape. It conforms. So while it is indeed level, that just does not mean what you think it means, and think is a strong word when we are talking about you.
If any disturbance is made, the surface will sway up and down temporarily.
I would imagine it's going to be crazy considering the disturbing man at the shoreline with his gigantic camera muttering to himself about he's totally going to show us globeheads how dumb we are, and occasionally shouting, "Ha! I knew it!" while giggling maniacally.
Ultimately returning to a completely flat, level expanse, because still water cannot physically stack upon itself.
I mean, while it can't stack on itself is a fucking weird way of putting it, it kind of can as well. I mean, if it's contained in, say, a bowl, it's not like it falls through itself, making some sort of super dense atom-thick layer at the bottom. They all sit on top of each other, bounding around like balls in a pit. Because, yeah, if you try to pile the balls up, they are going to level out. That doesn't mean that they aren't supporting each other in that sense. Not that any of this matters, it's just a really bizarre thing to say.
This is why water is a universal leveling tool that has been used in engineering and construction for millennia.
Yeah, because this spirit level here is exactly the kind of tool they use to build fucking bridges. Oh wait, no, because bridges literally account for the curvature of the Earth. Way to make an argument that actually refutes what you are trying to say, mate.
Bodies of still water lack the physical capacity to curve, show convexity, or any other shape upon their surface.
That's just wrong, because, well, yeah, in anything smaller than a swimming pool, it's not really going to do that. At the geological scales we're talking, it absolutely does happen, and your inability to understand and accept that fact doesn't prevent it from being a fact. Unlike how water will conform to the globe's surface, reality does not, in fact, conform to your feelings or lack of understanding.
But the globe defies this empirically demonstrable fact by claiming all of Earth's lakes, rivers, ponds, and oceans are impossibly bending around stuck to a sphere.
If your definition of impossible is things I don't understand are happening and it makes me scared, sure, totally impossible. But in terms of it not happening, not only is it not impossible, it happens and it's exactly what we expect to happen considering the mechanics of bodies of water, the physics of reality, and the fact that we are on a goddamn globe.
Does it appear that the water at one end of the lake is 6 feet lower than the water at my feet?
Even if the Earth were perfectly flat as its basis, if you were stood on a 3-mile-long slope, do you genuinely think you would be able to discern any changes in elevation while stood at one end versus the other? The point you're looking at is so distant and so small, even when zoomed in with your stupid fucking camera, that itself is not exactly anchored to the ground, not giving it a stable frame of reference, but your shaky hand cam instead. Exactly how do you expect anyone to be able to determine anything in this situation? I have no idea.
We shouldn't even be able to see the opposite shoreline, docks, boats, chairs, and grass, if that was the case.
Well, we are presuming that you are even in the correct location for the distance to the other shore to reach that far. But even if you are, you again still have to account for all the optical shit that distorts the distances we can see. And also, we don't know where you're stood. Presumably, you aren't ankle deep in that water. So even just a couple of feet above the water level, you are going to significantly increase your viewing distance. Also, can you see the opposite line? Or can you see the top of the water, obscuring where the lake's edge meets the land, and then seeing slightly further up the land? Because I don't see anything like sand or a rocky edge or even dirt in the distant shot of your footage there. It is just a clean line from water to grass. Most shorelines do not look like that. In fact, you can see it here in your own thing. There's rocks here as it goes into the water, but none here. A clear distinction between an actual shore and an obscured one.
Watch as I zoom back out from this house, and it eventually disappears into the horizon.
Fun fact, what he's actually about to show is not that. This moron doesn't know what a horizon is. That didn't disappear into the horizon, it just got so small that the camera, or in fact human eye, could no longer resolve it. If that's what you think globe earthers think a horizon in, then you have just proven that you fundamentally don't understand what we are talking about when we discuss horizons. I know we are all extremely shocked that Eric doesn't know something.
If this house was a boat retreating from shore, most globe believers would claim it was disappearing over the curvature of the earth by now.
No, they would only think that if the house disappeared from the bottom up. If you had a boat large enough that you could see it while zoomed in, the fact that it disappeared when you zoomed out would only show you that things get harder to see over vast distances. What we would call disappearing over the horizon is if you sat there and watched the boat move away from you, staying the same level of zoomed, until it eventually disappeared, at which point, no matter how much further you zoomed in, it would never come back into view without it physically moving back towards you first. You do not know what the hell you are talking about.
Even giving the benefit of the doubt to biased globe defenders,
the sheer bloody irony of you calling other people biased is just chef's kiss on the irony scale, especially when what you actually mean by bias is understanding the basic and well understood mechanics of how the everything works. And by that definition, you're not biased at all.
Whose online curvature calculators claim that at a camera height of 3 feet and target location of 3 miles, there's only 6 inches, rather than 6 feet of visible curvature.
I can only assume they are accurate because, you know, flat earthers didn't make them, and yeah, because again, the 6 foot thing is at water level. And why are you doing 3 foot off the ground? Are you well below the average height of a dude on the planet of Earth? I mean, that's good to know, but when we talk about eye level, we have to go with averages. And I feel like at 6 foot, it's going to be an even tinier difference. You make such odd choices. One might suspect you're being deliberately obtuse.
Is that what we see? Is the lake water somehow defying the laws of physics and curving down 6 inches from one end to the other?
Defying the laws of physics is a really funny way of saying doing exactly the thing we would expect it to do. And again, see. Stop using your fucking eyes and measure something for once in your life. Again, you are seriously under the delusion that you could accurately gauge a height difference of 6 inches with no point of reference over 3 miles. The overestimation of one's own abilities is, well, completely unsurprising coming from a flat earther, not least from Flat Eric.
The reality is that on much larger lakes, with even longer zooms, the entire surface expanse and opposing shoreline are completely visible without any curvature present whatsoever.
You making any claims about the reality of anything is frankly laughable considering you appear to be so detached from it. I'm surprised you didn't fall through the fucking floor. And frankly, I don't believe you, because if you genuinely thought that was the case, why did you not think to go to that exact location yourself? And sure, it might have been difficult to get to a location that meets your needs. Perhaps you just aren't that close to these places, but Eric, you are trying to fundamentally debunk pretty much the entirety of our understanding of how the fucking planet works. I think a little bit of effort on your part isn't exactly out of the question.
Try it for yourself. Take a camera with a decent zoom function to a lake, some open plains, or atop a mountain. Check your location and target observation, then measure them out in Google Maps.
While I too encourage flat earthers to get off their flat asses, for the love of God, do more than just pull out your new phone and zoom into a couple of fucking houses across a lake. All you're going to prove is that you have no idea how to effectively calculate anything in relation to the shape of the earth, the curvature that you are likely to see or detect, and more than anything, you're just going to freak out everyone else hanging out at that spot as you furiously masturbate about how clever you think you're being.
Input your camera height and target distance into an Earth curvature calculator, and find the target hidden height, meaning the amount of curved Earth that should be obstructing the view to what you're looking at. If you're able to see objects and locations that are below the target hidden height, then you are demonstrating observable proof that Earth cannot be a globe of given proportions.
Sure, they could do that, but they are going to run into every single one of the exact same problems you have, resulting in them less disproving the shape of the Earth and simply reinforcing their own flawed understanding of reality, which is less than ideal.
The reality is that from mountaintops, on plains, and high-altitude balloons, hundreds of miles of flat horizon can be seen all around, where there should already be thousands of feet of spherical curvature present. If you do the math pertaining to these locations and observations, and are honest with yourself, you will find that Earth simply cannot be a globe.
Again, your understanding of reality, and honesty for that matter, is suspect at best and downright non-existent at most likely. The fact is, the higher you get, the more curve you're seeing. And in fact, when you get high enough, it becomes undeniable to anyone but the most delusional of flat earthers, aka you.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the